So, since there's so few of us, I'm not going to go through this whole slide presentation. Um, but for the two of you who don't know what Beyond Imagination is, there is a something I've started called the Avatar Revolution. What is the Avatar Revolution? It's the idea that rather than having robots controlled by AI, you could first control them by humans. And if you did that, you could create a scalable humanoid robotic system that could be useful in a myriad of ways. So this isn't just science fiction. This slide here is to illustrate that in 2016, I brought this concept out to the world. 250 influencers backed it, and we became the next X Prize, and then went out and raised $22 million nonprofit donation to X Prize. And there is a contest that was launched in 2018 at South by Southwest. And we now have 77 teams around the world competing to create humanoid robots that you can control at a distance. Last year, the World Economic Forum, mostly based upon this prize I created, named this as one of the top 10 emerging technologies. In fact, number 6. So since the talk was how are you going to smash through COVID, I will note that people are completely changing the way that they think about work. And of course, much is now being done by Zoom and online, but you can only do so much through a screen. I can't build a building. I can't make you a meal. I can't treat a patient. I can't take care of grandma through a screen. So what we need is the ability to telework in addition to be able to have telecommunication. And that's what this is all really about. So what Avatars is about is looking about how much time and money and opportunities are wasted because it takes for me to drive through LA or to get on a plane and go to New York or to Singapore. Of course, right now, it takes me only 20 minutes to get somewhere where it used to take 2 hours. But that, once people come back, will change. Instant transportation, I think, is the solution to many of the world's problems. So I'm going to go back again to this whole thing about the travel bans. So right now, we live in a world, and we may be living in this world for a couple of years, depending upon where this outbreak comes back in the fall or not. So we have travel bans. So a lot of places we can't just even go to them. And we have contagious areas where people, even if they could travel to it, don't want to go. And so what are you to do? This is affecting everything from, Disneyland to Apple to, the whole political presidential campaign that we're having here to especially the small people, the restaurants and the small businesses. But globally, we need a way in which we can move people around instantly. So with a robotic avatar, we can not only transcend the risk that currently exists, and you can move about anywhere in which you would place an avatar, but it could, for instance, meat. Right now in the US, we're shutting down meat plants. If we had avatars at the meat plant, you could have a large level of automation, and then you could have physical workers, but they wouldn't physically be there. They would be through avatars. There would be no meat shortage. World leaders right now aren't going anywhere. There isn't a big UN meeting because they don't want to gather. Whether you're an Apple engineer or a Toyota engineer moving from place to place, which they would commonly do, they're no longer doing. That's causing great delays in new products. And the biggest one, of course, which we're looking at focusing on, is in the caregiving world. The majority of deaths are in the elderly population and the populations that have medical conditions. And in those places, once one person gets infected, you have a rapid progression of the disease. So one of our big pushes is let's put some avatars in these places so that one, you could visit any of your relatives. Two, any doctor could come in and out. Three, you can have any nutritious people coming in. You can have all the needs taken care of through this one robot with different people who are operating it. So I'm going to skip this. The big point of this for those of you, the two of you who haven't heard this, the world is full of specific AI robots, which you can see here on the screen. And the reason for that is there's no general AI. I don't get to have my robot servant. I don't get to have my C3PO because general AI doesn't exist. And what general AI is what a child has. So if I teach a child to wash a cup, and then I say, hey, let's go outside and wash the car, they understand what the concept of wash is. Whereas a artificial intelligence, or really just a software program, that needs to actually go through and learn not only how to wash a cup, but every sort of cup. It needs to be able to go, okay, this is a cup, and this is also a cup, and this mug, it counts as a cup, etc. So we look at avatars as being really kind of the ultimate solution. So what does that mean? What it means is that you have a robot on one end that has some human capability, arms, head, torso. You can hear through it, see through it, feel through it, act through it. Once you have that, it is kind of like having a smartphone. With a smartphone, you can do all kinds of things. With this system, you can do all kinds of things. So one, you can instantly traverse from point A to point B. You could work anywhere, collaborate anywhere, learn anywhere, help anywhere. It also is a means of, since we'll talk about consciousness, it's a means of harnessing the collective experiences of humanity. Because these systems, which will have an AI subconscious, are learning from it, in addition to having your experiences recorded. Right now, you're preserving your consciousness through audio and video, but we're far more than that. In these systems, you'll be able to record some of what you're feeling, how you're moving, what you're touching, how you're interacting with the environment, how the environment is interacting with you. In essence, a much closer capturing of your consciousness. And of course, as things evolve, you'll be able to smell through them, and you'll be able to taste through them, etc. I did mention a moment, so I'll mention that these are robots that are controlled by real intelligence, but it has also an AI in it, but the AI will be an AI subconscious. So you'll go through a stage. You'll first learn. So it's learning and just observing you, how you walked, how you picked up a cup, how you opened a door, how you picked up a tool. And the more it gets that data, the ability for it eventually to help you complete that task. Now it goes, oh, I know he's reaching for this cup, or I know he's reaching for this grill. So it's a way in which to overcome latency. Hold on for a second. Gotta kill this. It's a way to overcome latency. Then it will reach a stage where it can literally augment you. So imagine you're playing a game of tennis through this robot, and you've never played tennis before. But if enough people have played tennis, now when you try to swing, the robot will adjust, and you could swing with the speed of a pro tennis player, with the speed, the dexterity, the spin, and everything else. If you wanted to make the perfect meal, you could follow instructions for sure, but if this thing is learned enough from enough chefs, it can then take you through and take over. So it's making the souffle properly. And then eventually we reach the point of autonomy. We see this is the path to autonomy, to general AI, but not actually even general AI. It's just a whole bunch of a AI stack that would enable you to complete tasks. So we see these as scalable because everybody is different, and you have different skills. But a robot that has hands and arms and a head can then pretty much do whatever task to the limits of its dexterity and speed. The system is quite simple. It's three main components. There's the robot avatar units. There is the platform that connects you to the robot. And then there's the sensory operator user link, the soul, which is basically your VR equipment, your haptics, your motion capture, your audio, so that you're seeing, hearing, talking, touching, feeling through this thing. So with that, there's much that can be done. So I'm going to stop there because and turn this really to a conversation to see if you guys have any questions. And mostly since I have two of my people on here, so it's really either to Amar or to, is it Astaria? Astaria?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Astaria.
So I think you're now the audience of one because the rest of the people are my people.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm just mostly curious.
So
I'm grateful that I'm grateful that I'm present here. It was unexpected, so I'm just kind of like taking it in and appreciating what is being shared and kind of aligning myself to the vision of what you're sharing and just kind of like integrating that into my consciousness right now. So imagining a world where that is the reality, where we are able to do that. Like I haven't actually visualized a world in that way yet. And so it's new. This is all new data to me, but I feel that it's totally probable and definitely going to be a fraction of where we're going. I was reading, I can't remember what it was, but something along the lines of that eventually nature and machine is going to merge, and what does that look like, and how can we create that in a harmonious way? How can we merge technology with nature in the most harmonious way? We're maybe experiencing a domination of science and technology right now, some people are feeling, and so how can we turn it into the positive? So I'm totally on board with using science and technology to support versus to limit and control. So I see this as what you're expressing as a liberating way to work with this form of technology and AI and everything, and more of a service instead of an enslavement.
I actually,
yeah,
I love the way that you framed it. It gives me a new word to use when talking about this now, which is harmony. Ray Kurzweil, who's part of this, he and I do talk about the point is most people fear AI and they fear robotics. And the reason they fear is because one, media, and two, the basically the storylines that are put forward in media is one of dystopia. Two, it's people are very fearful of robots taking their jobs, and certainly in many sectors, robots are going to take people's jobs. For our use case, though, robots will give you back your job. So while some people could lose a job in LA because they're getting a $25 to be a waiter in LA, it's not an exaggeration. But now if I'm employing people from Bolivia or from Venezuela who may have a lower wage, I could then employ them, and it would be cheaper to use them as a waiter, perhaps at scale, than it is to build an AI robot, because it's going to be very difficult to make an AI robot be a waiter. On a larger scale, the concept of this is one of complete harmony. You're in harmony with the machine of the robot and in harmony with the AI. The AI is not working against you. It's working to assist you. It's working to make you better eventually. And it's kind of what Ray and I have always envisioned, which is it's not one versus the other. It's how the two can enhance each other.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. Thank you for sharing. It's spontaneous for me to be in this meeting, but I feel it's so necessary, and it's definitely, I always get shown the messages and hear the messages that I need to see, and so it's good. It's good. I feel good about this, about your mission. And is this a project that you've been working on for a long time, or is
Well,
this?
it's actually a project that, so it was, the first phase was launched in 2016 with the X Prize. The company was launched in 2018. We actually started building the robot this year. But it's something that I've wanted to do and dreamed of doing since I was about 7 years old. So I was born with my legs backwards, and so read a lot of science fiction material where people can move around in different bodies, especially across the galaxy. You can't do that because of the speed of light, but what you can do, and I immediately started to think about is, well, if this body doesn't work, what about having a robotic body that you could work through? And so since very early age, I've dreamed of doing it. I had to wait for technology to catch up. I had to wait for VR to come to fruition, for fat bandwidth, Wi-Fi and 5G, for sensors, for computers, for hardware, for a whole range of things. And so it was a long wait. it was decades of waiting. But now the time is upon us, which is the creation of the X Prize kind of proved, with 77 teams believing they can compete for a prize. It tells us that around the world, there are enough working pieces and people to pursue this dream.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think as long as the solution is presented in a positive way that's in service to humanity, then it will be accepted and welcomed. And it seems that this project is cultivating that. And so I would love to see more media and more conversations and more awareness around this type of direction. And I think that would help people to feel a lot safer with what's coming, inevitably.
There are two anthologies. There's an anthology, Avatar Dreams, which is available. I can send you a free copy if you email me at hkloor@me.com. You can buy it at Amazon, but I'll just give you a copy since you're in the talk. So it's my first initial and last name at me.com. Yes. Email me and I'll send you a Kindle or some other copy that you can read digitally. There's also an anthology online now that I've also written for, and many sci-fi authors have written for, that just came out this month from X Prize. So where you can, and I actually, for that one, I think you'd particularly like my story. The story I just got done writing is about a woman who is overcoming. She had a horrific injury, and now she's recovered, but she's fearful, and she's going to perform in a performance in like 2040 Olympics. And she's the creator with her uncle of a new art form where using special magnetic and sonic fields, she can basically fly and generate 3D holograms in the air, turning in, herself into a phoenix or a million butterflies, and it all tunes into music. And the story is about how she's now gonna operate through an avatar, but she has to get over the psychological damage of the injury, and the process of having the doctor inside her head with this avatar is a story, and it's a one of healing.
Beautiful. Thank you. I feel a little on the spot because I'm is the other person Is the other person still here?
No, well, my team is there. Roman left, so it's fine. If you need to leave,
Yeah.
you can leave.
Oh no. Yeah,
So
I'd love to hear more. I guess I'd love to hear like how far away are you from reaching this like bringing this vision fully into form, and like what do you still need to bring this vision into form?
so basically, right now it's about uh, building the actual robot. Um, we already have a big part of it built, and it's for instance, we can already through this robot remotely uh, pack a bag and deliver it to somebody, pull a tissue from a box, pick up a tool like a drill and use it, do, pour water and deliver a glass of water. Basically, many of the normal tasks that a caregiver would give, you can now do with our robot, and we're at what we call 0.1 stage, and by the fall we expect to be at the 0.5 stage.
Yeah, I feel like a good way, I've kind of made a comment, but I feel like a good way to work with this robot would be to potentially help elderly. What's coming up for me during this whole pandemic is that I'm in Guatemala. I didn't plan to still be here, but everything happened, and so I'm here. And I'm the rest of my family's fine in the States, but I think about my grandma who is alone in Florida, and like her social security is being threatened and all these things. So for me, like, that brings my heart forward. And so like how you can sell things, how you can get people to grasp concepts is bringing their heart into it. And so I feel like going in that space and genuinely helping elderly people, disabled people that they don't have anyone, I feel like that would be the first place that you could position to get some traction and action and attention and show like, hey, this can do this here, and that would be of service. And no one's going to get coronavirus from a robot, so
Exactly.
it's
Well,
safe to send one of those in to my grandma's house.
I'm glad that you're saying this, because this is exactly what I've been saying to my investors, which is the number one area is elderly and healthcare, and because they're the ones who are the most affected. They're going to be locked down for years, and these robots can serve numerous functions. For instance, it's elderly people often need medical attention, so they're taken to a hospital. Now they're either not getting that attention, or if the doctor comes there, he's risking infecting everybody in the facility. Instead, doctors could visit and do their whatever treatments they need via this robot. A nurse practitioner could do it. You could go and visit your grandma whenever you wanted, because half of all health issues with the elderly have to do with depression and loneliness. So now you could make your grandma a sandwich or some tea, or play cards with her, or just hold her hand. It might be a robot hand, but she's still going to feel you squeezing it. You could give her a hug, do all kinds of things, and she's going to see your face because we'll project that on there. But now she'll also feel your touch and your action. So it's good to have a totally outside person pitch that forward, because it tells me that this is the right path.
Yeah, I'm happy to reflect that to you. And that's, yeah, I'm really good at I have this Aquarian energy, and so I have tons of ideas, and I'm so happy to like share them and reflect back to people freely, and good at like helping people with their businesses and things like that. So happy to share that reflection. And yeah, that's just what feels best for me. I don't personally think that I would like equate my actual love and touch to my grandma through a robot, you know, but certain things that I made it in a comment that I can't help her with, which is like she can't, she's 88 years old now and she can't clip her toenails, you know, and like just these certain things that like she genuinely needs help for and is suffering because she doesn't have, and she's starting to lose her vision, you know, and that's what's just killing me the most right now. She can't drive, you know, she's starting to not be able to drive, and my grandpa passed a few years ago. So it's one of those things where it's like, how can I help her? You know, we're sending her a new iPad so she can do that, but that's not, she doesn't know how to open up the chats to make a message for the video, you know, like she can't see the words on the screen. And so, you know, finding ways to, and then yeah, we sent her, me and my cousin, we sent her like not a Siri or not a Alexa, but a different one, like just some different one, and it freaks her out a little bit. So that's the other thing, is like she's like, what is that thing? I talk and it tells me what time it is, and I have a cuckoo clock that tells me what time it is, you know. So also creating safety around bringing that into the people that, like the elders, because it's so advanced and it's so beyond their perception and their awareness and their comprehension. So somehow creating it to be more dumbed down for them, I guess, like the machinery itself being, yeah.
But for these, it would just be you. Yeah, your face would show up. You would be, it would be you. You would be talking to her, but now you would have arms that you could reach out and make her tea or clip her toenails or do whatever. And your sense of presence would be extreme. It would be not like a video chat, because you're going to see through two eyes. You're going to hear through two ears. So you will really think you're there. And very quickly, she'll think you're there, because the way that you're moving your hands and you're talking, it'll be you. It won't be the robot, because you are the robot.
I see. And so how does it work on the other end of the spectrum, like on my side?
On your side, you have to,
what is picking up the data of me that's transmuting it through the machine?
right. So have you ever used a VR headset?
Yeah, kind of. I haven't used it often, but just like probably like a low level VR.
You would put on a VR headset of some sort, and what we're moving to is like gloves. So you put on some gloves, and these gloves you would be able to feel through. So when you picked up a cup or you touched your grandma to give her a pat, you could feel through that. You would have some pressure feeling. And as you moved your hand naturally, the robot would move its hand naturally. So the point of this is other than, it's no more difficult than getting a Netflix account, logging in, putting in information, and then instead of choosing a movie, you're going to choose a robot that's available for you to get into. And you choose the one at your grandma's house, and you activate it because you've reserved the time, so a doctor's not there or your uncle's not there. And now you put on your VR headset, it has audio and visual, so you're seeing and hearing through the robot. When you move, the motion capture system that comes with it is capturing your motion. So if you turn your head, the robot turns its head, you have the gloves, and away you go. So you don't need any, if you can operate a smartphone, you can operate this.
Mm-mm. And is this something that could be mass produced at this level of the game where we're at?
Yeah, so the idea is that since anyone can use it for any reason, that's how you can mass produce it. So that because one person would use it to visit grandma, another one uses it to be a doctor, another one uses it to be an engineer, somebody else uses it to be, I don't know, a construction worker. So that's how you
Uh,
availability, because it's
I
one
have a
box.
great idea for you. You got to turn this into like how we have Uber and Airbnb.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
can be the, yeah, like make it that kind of service, like mainstream it, order your robot via this app, you send it here, you know, you pay X amount of dollars to get the equipment sent to you. And then it's like a lifetime, maybe it's a lifetime thing. I'm not sure how they would get the equipment. Because what if it's an emergency and you need a robot to go there in the next 10 minutes, but you don't have the headset?
Right. So what you have, so what you're saying is, of course, part of the platform, which we call instant services, is not just about you going somewhere, but it's about you being able to bring anything to you. Now, you have to have a robot on site or delivered to you. So if I'm throwing a big party in the pandemic and I don't want to hire a cook and a bunch of waiters who could infect my guests, I could have the robots and people would occupy them, a chef, some waiters, you know, the fire juggler, whoever I want could come in. And so you don't necessarily have to own it. You could rent it and have it there. Though I do see a future, just as most people in America have several cars, a future where you would have one of these in your home because they would cost you like 40K. So my time is up. I see we have somebody new here. Is this our new speaker?